Welcome to the Threshing Floor Podcast, your premier destination for discussion and commentary on the redemption trading card game and its community. Kick back and relax as we catch you up on the latest news, tournament results, and deck building strategies to take your game to the next level. Now, here are your hosts, John Hendricks and Ager the Wise.
All right, that's right. It is John Hendricks here with
Let's go.
famous Roots 2, Ager the Wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And I gotta add, go Spurs, go.
Okay, all right, well, you can add that. Celtics aren't doing too bad, so.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest, NBA is not, it's not something I keep up with during the regular season. Unfortunately, it's become a postseason type of sport for me.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
But hey, congratulations on, if the Spurs are doing well for you, I'm happy for you. But, it's funny that I mentioned you having your Ager the Wise card in Roots 2, because Roots 2 has been popping off the last, at least week. Spoilers every day.
Dude,
I mean, we're getting
looks good.
We're getting spoiled with spoilers.
Spoiled with spoilers, bro.
So we've got tons of spoiler stuff. We've got tournament results. We've got upcoming tournaments to talk about. We've got our first edition of the power rankings for this tournament season, based on criteria of using some RNRS as well as results from Lucky Grand Prix and in-person tournaments that we have so far. We've even got a surprise for Deck of the Week. Jaden probably won't believe it when we do it, but we're going to do it. We're going to struggle through it. So yes, it is a Type 2 deck. But before we get into all of that, we've got tons of stuff. I do have to hit you with bad news here at the top. I like to, if we got bad news, I like to go ahead and rip it off right at the top. So the bad news is we had planned for Babooni Tim, to join us on this episode and have a conversation with him about the Redemption CCG.app project and kind of future plans for that and kind of where it's at and where he keeps finding all of this time and energy to keep doing these midnight updates so that every time you look at it, there's something new. It's really cool. It's been fun to follow that kind of journey from when he first, announced it to what it is now. But getting the chance to talk to him and kind of see where his roadmap for that project is and where he wants to take it in the future is something that I'm really looking forward to. And I wanted to bring it to you on this episode. But as such, with life, Tim happens to be moving and our schedules just didn't link up for when we could record this week. Last week, I had to push it because I was going to the Kentucky State tournament. So even if we had recorded, I would not have had time to, get the editing done and all of that and released before the tournament. So, and it didn't work out schedule-wise for you either, Jake. So, there was just a couple of things to where we kicked it down. But, I wanted to have all of those results and things when we recorded and instead of recording and then going through all of those experiences and things and those being the fresh thing on people's minds and not having that on the next episode. I just thought we'd kind of blend it all together. So we are here for a huge, huge episode, even without the Tim stuff. It's going to be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic here because of all of the things we've got. We've got all kinds of things to go over. Starting with, first and foremost, is our sponsor. We are proud to be sponsored by Your Turn Games. So, Jake, let me ask you, what's better than shopping at Your Turn Games?
Not many things. There's not many things.
Getting rewarded for shopping at Your Turn Games.
Wow, that's one of the few things.
That is one of the few things, right? So, and maybe Andy's been motivated to do a little bit of cool things that I think these are a lot of these are ideas that he's had for a while, but now with potentially another retailer coming to market for redemption players and things, I don't want to say that, that's the sole reason for these, but I do think that you're starting to see, some of those ideas that potentially have been lingering in the head chamber for Andy and his wife kind of come to fruition now, and it's kind of cool. And, we're at some point going to see the initial look for the new site is for Three Lions Gaming now that Charles owns it and things. So as players, we're just getting great benefits from the potential, I don't even want to call it a back and forth, just whatever it's going to be. But, being your
Friendly
turn games
competition.
diehards here. Yes, friendly competition. But when I go and buy a card, when, I sneak some funds away from my wife and I go and spend money on cards, it's nice to be rewarded for it too. So now you will get reward points, and I'm sure there will be, sales and things to where you can earn additional points and things. I think initially out the gate, he was giving 3 points where you would normally get 1 point, as the base level. And it essentially boils down to you earn rewards, and then for every $100 you spend, you're going to get at least $5 off of that purchase. And that's in addition to all the other sales that he does already and things. So it's just, a token of appreciation, nothing you have to sign up for. You're automatically enrolled if you have a login on this site, which you should have a login if you're making purchases.
Definitely.
I think there might be a way to do guests, but for the most part, I think most people probably want to track what they've purchased through there or whatnot. Or maybe if your wife's checking behind you, maybe you don't want to track how much you spent there. So it's that a mixed bag, maybe. But also, in addition to that, I feel like there's a little bit of camaraderie. Obviously me and Jaden, I feel like are good pals or whatever already, but we're also both sponsored by Your Turn Games. And so it's kind of cool that we have that element in common as well. And we know Land of Redemption has been sponsored by Your Turn Games. So Andy is ramping it up and taking it a step further with sponsorship. And now he is sponsoring Babooni Tim, so Tim's YouTube channel, and then also the RedemptionCCG.app project that he is working on. So those are things that are now going to be in the umbrella of sponsorship. So going to be hopefully a great collaboration long term and whatnot, to help get some support for Tim on that. I can't imagine how many hours he's putting into all of the little tweaks and things. And I mean, it's been really fun. Like I said, it's been really fun to watch it grow and things from its initial inception and what was shown to us. And every time you look at it, there's some new feature and things. So that's really cool, that he's, now got some sponsorship to help cover maybe some of the costs with that. I don't know what that looks like. That's their business, obviously. But I know that the way that Andy sponsors here is the hosting fees and things that I have to pay to maintain the podcast being on all of the platforms and things. And, we use a professional hosting service, and that does cost money every month. And then we also use the recording software. We use Riverside, and that's a charge each year. And those things are thankfully covered without having to come out of my pocket, which makes it easier, especially during the times when we're not recording. And thankfully, we haven't caught the ire of Andy just yet on that. So we're doing good. Yes. Before we get into one other thing I do want to acknowledge, and I do a really bad job of this. Jake, you can call me out. You can tell me I do a really bad job of this.
What?
But when we record, I never keep up. We'll mention a sports thing. We opened last time talking about Bam's whatever 83 points. But we don't really a lot of times keep up with kind of the timing of when episodes are recorded and things, except for, I'll tell you, it's on a Wednesday night. We're breaking down the fourth wall and all of that. But I do want to acknowledge that this is Easter week. Depending on when this comes out. Hey, you might even get this on Good Friday. Leaning in. Last Sunday was Palm Sunday. This coming Sunday is Easter. So I definitely think it's something to acknowledge for not just, most of the people within our community, because a lot of them share the, like-minded belief and things through Christ and all of that and his resurrection. But without that, I mean, none of anything that we do matters. So definitely want to throw a little spotlight on that. And again, I'm telling you, now that you think about it, if you think about it, I'm terrible at that part of things. And I guess it works because you don't, maybe you go back and you listen to an episode a year later and you're not, but I mean, you're listening to it a year later. Maybe it's something I could get better at. As a podcast host, I'm not perfect.
That's good. Talking about Easter, we're breaking the fifth wall here. That's
breaking the fifth wall. We're talking about future elements. Well, future elements that are past elements that we're celebrating. Hey.
Yeah. The lamb slain before the foundation of the world. Even before time existed, Easter was on the schedule, and now we're just celebrating it. So, but yeah, I love this time of year. Obviously, we want to we want to proclaim Jesus all year round, but like this is a special week, Holy Week. We get to focus on the passion of the Christ. We get to be with other believers and just thank God for the blessing that our redemption was paid for at the cross.
Absolutely.
And
I like what you did there, too.
Exactly.
Yes.
And our new life is promised, and just all these amazing promises we find during Easter, Holy Week, Resurrection Sunday. Praise the Lord. So
such a great time. Such a great time. So with that, I think we can transition here into some news and notes. And
sit back and relax while we get you caught up on all the latest news and notes from around the game and the community.
I guess off the top, one of the things that may go unnoticed, or I don't think it'll go unnoticed, but I think it's one of those things that as soon as you acknowledge it, you move past it. But I do want to kind of spotlight it because it has happened since we recorded last. And that is that the Discord server received an update, a bit of a touch-up. So we've got some new channels. We've got some repurposed channels. We've got some separation of, like the forced sale is separate from the retailer realm. So the retailer realm is now where retailers can push their sales and things, from their quote-unquote storefront or websites and things. And then you have redemption for sale, which is, I guess, more for individual players to sell cards. And you have redemption for trade, separating trades and sales versus being lumped together in the same channel, maybe for easier viewing and kind of separation. Like if you're looking to trade for cards, you can go into that channel specifically. If you're looking to potentially purchase or sell, you can do that one separately. Tournament listings is another one. You have tournament listings now that is a locked channel as far as each thing has to be created as a thread. So tournament hosts can go in there and list out their tournament things to spotlight them and then have a thread about their tournaments. People can ask questions directly on that. And then the original tournament channel has been turned into tournament discussion. And so the tournament discussion is now where you can have kind of open reign to talk and things. We have community announcements. Sometimes we want to make an announcement, but we're not elders, so we don't have access to the, quote unquote announcement channel. But now we have community announcements. And I think the only one that we've really had put in there so far, or maybe there's a couple about Redemption CCG app, and then there's the one about Coliseum. So a couple of things there. So that's cool to have access to that. And then a lot of this is just kind of the same thing. Spoilers now has a Roots 2 spoiler thread that's active. That's image only so that you can go and look at that. But
that's nice.
There's a couple of different ways to view spoilers now, and I think they're all great, and they're an improvement over what we had previously. So how you liking the new setup for the server, Jake?
It's looking pretty sweet. I haven't fully explored everything, but it's looking pretty sweet. I like some of the trading channel, the for sale channel for individuals. So it's nice. So very exciting stuff. And the community announcements channel, because we're not admins, but yeah, that's really cool. I like it.
And they don't want us to be admin.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's like one of those things that doesn't necessarily move the needle. But I think it is a quality of life update in a lot of the changes that they made and things. So I'm glad that it's one of those things I didn't necessarily feel like it needed to be done, but now that it's done, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes sense. So it's kind of cool that they are looking to improve things, even where we might not see that there is need for improvement.
Yeah.
And somebody out there is listening, they're like, no, they've absolutely needed to do this for a long time. I'm tired of going into trades and sales and having to sort between the two and seeing Andy post his ads and stuff. And you know what? Hush, because Andy is the best retailer in the game.
Yes.
So I think that's going to move us to the next thing here. And the next thing that I have is an update from Rob about tournaments. So this one, I don't want to misquote the man, so I am going to read this one verbatim. And this really spurred from it came from a conversation that was being had. It was asked originally by Mr. T, my good friend Tucker from over in California. Well, I say good friend. Maybe he doesn't like me, but I met him at Nationals. I thought he was cool. And just so you know, he was asking about promos and if you could potentially receive a promo even if you don't go to a tournament, because he doesn't have any local tournaments around him or still the California State Tournament, he would still have to drive hours or whatever it was. And so while this whole conversation was happening, I don't want to, I'm not saying this for clout or anything, or somebody to think I'm a great person or anything, but I had already reached out to him and asked him if he was shooting for the state and regional promos, if those were the ones, because I'm in a situation where I'm blessed to be able to travel to multiple of those. So I'm going to end up with multiple promos, and I would have an extra set and whatever. So I had already reached out and told him that if those are the ones he wants, then all he's got to do is get me his address and I'll send him a set of the state and regional promo. But it ended up opening up a bigger conversation, and that conversation was kind of like, it ended up taking on multiple side avenues or whatever. So we were talking about people that are hosting a tournament, also playing in the tournament, what the participation promo is used for, things like that. And a lot of that, I believe there was a lot of gray area. Like, personally, I have operated, I'm not going to lie and say that I've read the host guide every time I've submitted an application to host. I have not. I've skimmed over it each time, as far as like, to see if they're like, each year that he puts it out and makes, potential changes to it, I skim over it to see what those changes might be and make sure that I'm in line with those. But I did not, I don't know if I've missed it in there somewhere, but I didn't even know that, and he offers clarity, but the participation promo is for helping put on the tournament and things. I've hosted a local tournament and ended up with one promo left. And that promo, I didn't give it to myself. I didn't get a promo because I didn't play in this local. I just hosted it. I've actually used the postage paid envelope, put it in a top loader, and send it back to Rob, because I didn't know that it was for, I thought you only got to play. So when I didn't play in a tournament, that's the only time that I didn't play in a category at a tournament. So it's not like it's been happening a lot or anything, but I feel like there was a lot of gray area around a lot of the things that came up from that conversation that was started by Tucker asking about those promos and ways to get them. And then Rob, it took a few weeks or whatever for him to come onto the Discord and share some thoughts about it and give some clarity. But I do want to read that off and make sure that we acknowledge it here and see. I don't know that it's a big culture problem. I think it's something people are going to have to adjust to if they weren't already adhering to it. But it does open up potentially a bigger conversation about playgroups and things and all of that I'll mention in a minute. But I want to read this verbatim from Cactus Rob. And he posted this in the main Discord, I believe in the Tournament Now discussion channel. I'm not 100% sure, but it says, regarding a judge playing, the rule is that the judge can't play the category they judge. However, I make an exception for local and district tournaments when there are 8 or fewer players in the category. There is no exception to this rule for state, regional, or national tournaments. Regarding who should receive the tournament participation promo, this is intended for players, judges/referees, and the host. We also allow it for people that are working the event by arranging lunch, shuttling people to and from airports, etc. Please don't abuse it. In no case can someone be a participant at a tournament they did not attend. So there's a few things to unpack here, and I don't want to, go forever talking about it, but I'm glad to see that we're getting some clarity here. When he says a judge cannot judge a category they're playing, that means that at like a district where you potentially have 3 categories playing. So you could have, say, booster and sealed happening at the same time. You're playing sealed, but you're judging booster. And then somebody playing booster could be judging sealed. You can work it out that way if you don't have a host that wants to, step back from playing those categories entirely to host. And I think where we saw a little bit of kind of discussion and pushback was the fact that people that are in a situation to where you have 8 or more in a local area, and at your tournaments now, you're going to have to get someone else to judge categories while you play, or a situation where it's like for states and regionals where it's not, your group isn't defined well enough to have people that can help host or judge categories so that you can play. So someone like Jay, for example, in Michigan, doesn't have a big enough group to where he has additional judges and things. So now it seems like this is kind of limiting his ability to play the game. And I don't mean to single him out. I just know he was one of the ones that shared some concerns for, playgroup size and this rule and things and how they kind of interact and intertwine. So another one was Chad, and Chad ended up finding a way around it for his Oregon State tournament that happened this past weekend. And he was able to play the categories that he wanted to. But I do think that I shared in there that I think when I sign up to host a tournament, I think part of that, and I'm not knocking anyone else that wants to play in things. I want to play as well in a lot of things, but I know that when I sign up to host a tournament, my top priority is hosting that tournament. And I'm essentially saying that I will skip playing if necessary in order to host and facilitate the game being available to other people. Not everyone's wired that way, and I get that. And so I definitely think there's a discussion to be had and things about how we can strengthen the play group setup in the game, how we can, help people develop and things. And I think a lot of it, and this is not a knock to Rob or the elder team or anything like that, but I do think part of it is going to be finding a way to get resources to tournament host so that they can have things at their disposal that they're not having to, basically create from nothing. As far as, like advertisement and things, I'm not saying that we need anything crazy, but I do feel like there could be additional resources and things for people to use to share about tournaments and things. So I just, I don't know.
It's a lot.
You've been part of a play group before, right? Would you say that your play group today is as healthy as it's been, or does it feel like it's waned a little bit in the last couple of years?
It's kind of waned. We had him, Jared, and he left, and then I took my hiatus, and we also had our card shop. We had a card shop that was hosting
the
us.
arena.
Yeah, the arena that fell apart. So we kind of scattered for a little bit recently. I'm having the guys over here for some tournaments back to back on the 24th and 25th.
Nice.
I forget what the actual level is. I think it's locals and something else. But anyways, yeah, it's been a lot lower recently, and it's just you like we have a lot of good players there in Texas, and love to see them more. Just life's so busy, and I know for everybody life is busy. So, we really want to boost numbers. We just got to find some sort of streamer or something to play Redemption and spark a huge influx of players.
Yeah, and see that, like, I'm not intending to knock any individual play group, but I feel like if you went around and asked most play groups, they would say something similar to where, for whatever reason, the last couple of years, even though our sales seem to be, like Andy seems to be making sales, and we have new people joining the Discord and things, it's just play groups as a whole seem to be on the decline. And this is something that, I've noticed for a while in things, and it just kind of coincides with Rob making this, maybe this is an update, maybe it's just clarifying things that were already completely set in motion. Like I know not judging the category not playing the category you're judging has been in effect for a long time. Like I was aware of that, but I was not aware of, being able to give the promo to people that helped set up the event and helped you put it on versus playing in it. I thought it was, from everything I read, it was just playing, unless I completely overlooked that. But there's that. Plus then the 8 or fewer players you can judge at local and districts. Like I didn't know about that dynamic. So I think that there's a lot of things that we can take from this and kind of make sure we're refined and we're running tournaments in accordance to what Rob wants currently. But I also think there's room to have a discussion about what can change and improve in order to maybe help grow play groups again and kind of see an upward trend in that. Not to talk about it forever, but I also received a message from Jason from New York, and he mentioned that it would be cool to revisit kind of playgroup development and things and all of that. And that's something that I want to do, and I plan to do it actually I don't even know how much I've told you about, future plans of that, but it's one of those things I've got down to revisit because we have new resources as far as you've got Roots now. You're going to have Roots 2. You're going to have the potential to maybe, again, I said this in the Discord in the spoiler channel, maybe you'll be able to build decks out of just Roots between 1 and 2. I don't think they'll be very good overall. They're not going to win tournaments, but to be able to put together what'll amount to maybe a $25 deck and you can hand it to someone.
Definitely.
And, with all that bulk instead of, just holding on to it for no reason or just giving it out, blindly. Like when a new kid starts for our play group, the group over in Mississippi, I guess, I need to do a lot more work with our local, like in my town group. But at least over there, a new kid comes in. By the time he's come to like 2 or 3 get-togethers about Redemption, he's got a full set of Roots because everyone just has so much and they're sharing that. But that still doesn't give them the context of a deck. But if you take that same concept and now you're building decks potentially and you give that, then that's kind of a cool way. And also think, even if it's nothing official, you could potentially do Roots-only things to level the playing field between established players and new players. Like you build a deck out of that and then you play. I know it wouldn't be probably an official category, but you could do things like that. But just ideas and things have changed, resources have changed. So I definitely want to revisit playgroup development and, talk to some people that have successful playgroups and what they're doing now, what has really stuck and, throwing things at the wall a lot of times. You just want to see what sticks. So figure out for each group what has kind of stuck and then kind of compile that data. So I think it's good discussion to have, and definitely thankful that Rob clarified some of those things to kind of ease some of the tension on that conversation that kind of happened, because I think tension got pretty high at different points in it, but I think we're good now moving forward. And I think there's just room to learn and grow. But speaking of that and growing play groups and things, another thing that is here is spreading the seed. All right. Now, I think back in the day, there was something like this, and I could be wrong. Maybe you've heard of it, Jake, but there was something called like the storehouse. Before it, like not necessarily just a card. Obviously, there is the card.
Yeah.
Now there's like 2 or 3 versions of the card, but storehouse. And this isn't called storehouse, but this is called spreading the seed. But basically, it's the same concept of you take in excess bulk that you don't need. If you don't have a use for it, you can turn it in, donate it in order to receive some form of credit towards a discount at Your Turn Game. So this is Andy in collaboration with Chris Fashman. He's the one that shared this.
Yeah, this is really cool.
And it started off from someone donated a large collection when they left the game, and they wanted to make sure it went to help a play group, but it was so much that they thought it could help multiple play groups. So they kind of fleshed this out. So you can donate cards, and, for example here, for every 5 scroll cards you'll get 1 cent. That's not great, but
I mean, honestly, like for a lot of people, like what are you going to do with them? They're just collecting. Like there's most scroll cards, 99% of them have no relevance in any format. And like if you're just sitting in your box in the middle underneath your bed, and this is actually a really good thing to use it for. So obviously you're not making a lot of credit, but at the same time it's you giving new life to something that didn't have any life. So,
Yeah. So 1 cent for every 5 scroll cards. Rotation legal cards, you'll get 1 cent for every card that's not in a category below. And then rotation legal rare, you'll get 5 cents for every rare not in a category below. And high value cards. So this is Your Turn Game's value for every card that is priced at 5 or higher at Your Turn Games. So if you have a Book of the Covenant, I guess you can turn in a Book of the Covenant and get whatever value that Book of the Covenant is at Your Turn Games.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the value for the donated cards has been calculated. You will be given, after the value of the donated cards has been calculated, you will be given a maximum of 20% off anything that is being offered for sale within the program. So they had some product with the collection that is being offered, so you can purchase from this collection, and that money will go back in and, help spread the seed. We got a Chris, love you, man. Andy, love you. We got to come up with a better name, okay? We got the storehouse. Maybe that doesn't work, but we gotta come up with something besides spreading the seed. Spreading the seed is like an activity, like you're doing something. But we need a name that's a noun. Like this
Sewing.
is a noun. This is a person, place, or thing, and you got me calling it a verb. I just,
yeah.
You know, my OCD's triggered a little bit.
Planting, sowing, yeah.
More and different products will be offered at some point, but right now they have Israel's Rebellion packs for $5 each. Well, I guess all these are $5 each. Gospel of Christ packs, Fall of Man, Revelation of John, Cloud of Witnesses. Key thing here is Cloud of Witnesses, Revelation of John are retired. They are not at print anymore, so potentially those could become limited depending on when people run out of stock at the retail locations and things. I don't know where, stock levels are on those things, but they have some here. Then they have some individual cards. I'm not going to go through everything here, but this is something worth checking out. And like we did last episode.
Do you mind if I read the blurb here for the Ultimate Vision? Because I think this is a really good way to say that.
Absolutely.
The ultimate vision and hope for spreading the seed is to give every person who is looking to create a playgroup the following items: 2 K&L starter decks, 2 I&J starter decks, 2 sets of ROA number 26 cards, a full set of roots, 100 to 150 random commons, and 15 to 20 random rares at the cost of nothing more than shipping. And I think that's fantastic. I think one thing that's really cool with this is you'll actually be able to mix a lot of these cards together and just do your own little drafts. Like you can get some paper packs, mix all these cards up. Like obviously you're going to keep dominance out, and you can just hand these out to everybody. And like that's one thing. Like a lot of people are like, I don't know if I want to get involved spending money. Like, but if they get to play with these cards that are basically free or close to free, and they're like, oh, this is awesome, this is great. And then they're looking up the cards on Discord, like, oh, there's new ultra rare out. Like that might be the hook to get them into redemption proper, right? Like this free stuff might be the beginning to that. So.
And I don't want anyone to think that I'm great at putting together outlines and things, but like rolling one topic or conversation point into another one. But this kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying about, I think at some point, in order to see a rise in playgroup development and playgroups taking root, you see what I did? Taking root and growing and flourishing, we're going to need resources for potential hosts and things. How we not necessarily just train them up and, know the rules and know how to host a tournament, but how do we give them actual resources that will help them and benefit them in order to move forward in their journey doing that. And I think this is a great example of something like that, to empower them and give them some resources to get started. I'm not sure how far you can take this, but I do think it's a great thing to get started. And for just the cost of shipping, I think will be a fantastic launch point for some people wanting to host tournaments. So definitely thankful for Chris and Andy putting that together and working on that. We just got to come up with a better name, guys. We need a better name, but I think it's a great thing. And I think it's going to end up being part of that conversation potentially that we have, down the road on a future episode when we can tackle playgroup development and kind of analyzing the current landscape of playgroups and why they are kind of losing momentum and things like that. So I think that will take us to the next thing. And the next thing that I have here is, well, I guess go ahead, Jake. Kick it down. What do we say? The fourth wall? We got to get a sound clip, dude. We got to get one. Oh, yeah. So we're going to kick this down. This is Wednesday night, Wednesday comes before what day?
Wednesday. I mean, is it Thursday?
I don't know if it's Thursday. I mean, it might be his day, but it's definitely Thursday.
Yeah.
Or thirsty, I'm thirsty. On Friday, come over Saturday, we'll have a Sunday type of thing.
I'm working on my dad jokes.
But Thursday is when Jaden's videos come out.
Yeah.
And we know that this video is going to be the Lackey Grand Prix 27 final between him and Chad, or See the Tree. Now, I won't spoil it here. Later on when we talk about tournament results, I will talk about it. So if you don't want to be spoiled on that before the video, when we get ready to go through tournament results, you might want to skip forward if you haven't seen it yet. But that game is there recorded, and it might be interesting the way it turns out.
It might be.
I don't know. I won't, again, I'll pretend I don't know how it turns out here for you.
I don't know.
I will pretend. The next thing is kind of a fun one. I'll let you, if you want to take it, Jake, and talk about, I guess you can just tell us what you noticed that might be different since the last time you logged in. I'm telling you, every time you log into this, there's something new.
Every time you log in, you see these amazing changes. And the first one that stood out to me is how he's gotten the pricing changed, where it's got the maximum price and the minimum price here. I'm looking at E-Man's Big Daniel deck. It's rated at $2,296.
Shh. Don't talk about that deck. Pick any other deck.
Or minimum $950, $150. So both pretty expensive. So that's pretty
what I do notice though?
What?
With that, and I do think that there was concern initially when people were putting in their fancy version and whatever, because you want that PDF that generates from it to be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So like I put all of my fancy versions in my War and Mayhem deck that I took to Kentucky State, so it drove the price up higher than it would be. And so he came back and he added like the minimum price so that you can see if you were to use the basic version of cards, what the low price would be. I think that's cool. Another thing, and we talk about accessibility for the game and teaching the game and things like that. These Paragon decks, if you look at them, and I know Paragon decks, they have fewer cards. Yes, I get that. But if you look at them, the price difference is significant. Like, here's one, Ben & Jerry's by Gamer Dad, which is Robin Dermo. I don't know how good this deck is. I don't know anything about it, but you can have it for $192.75 off of your turn games. And another thing, I don't know if you have gone this deep with it, Jake, or not, but if you click on it and you open that deck and you look at it, you can then get an option to, let me figure out where it's at actually on here. Maybe you have to copy and edit it.
Yeah.
So you copy and edit it, it brings it into your deck library. So if you do that, I believe then you'll get the option. And now, so I see the price here, and then I can go to details. There's not much here on this particular deck or whatnot, but there is a way to, if you click the three dots beside the play button, like if you wanted to go goldfish, and there's the three dots when you're in the deck, and when it's in your whatever, you can click buy on your turn games, and then it will give you the exact cards that are in this deck. And so there's 48 of 50 cards when I check this one. It tells me that two cards are out of stock.
Everything's
and if I
got
own
boxes
a card,
on them. Yeah.
if I own a card, I can go and deselect it. So then I'm not buying anything that I already have. So then you can get the price down to whatever it is in cards that you actually need.
And it's got the exact cards or the cheapest version right there.
Yep. You can then switch over to the cheapest version. And the cheapest version is going to give you obviously the cheaper option of the card. So it'll compare the active current price on your turn games. Then you can click this open your turn games cart. And they will be in your cart. You're already ready to check out. And then you can log in right there and get your rewards from Andy, since he's doing the rewards and things, and you need to be logged in to receive those.
This is incredible. Yeah.
It's like a one-stop shop for deck building and then deck purchasing or card purchasing in order to, go through the things that you don't have. Another thing that I know that he mentioned potentially having at some point is having where you can load your own collection here. And then I think what will eventually be part of that, if he does get that going. Again, I don't want to put any work on him, but these are things that he's mentioned potentially doing.
I do.
Already.
I want to put work on him.
Yeah. I mean, sure, at some level, but like, I'm not trying to get on the podcast here and just call out things that, maybe end up being too much. And then it looks like a failed, potential of this project or anything, because I love what he's got so far. But one thing he's mentioned is having where you can load your collection and mark which cards you own, maybe how many. I don't know if it'll be in depth to like how many you have, or if it'll just be that, yes, I own this card as a raw, I have it. And then when you do this and your turn games to purchase, I would assume there's an automatic filter of you already have these cards. These are the 7 cards you would need to buy to build this deck. And I think when you get to that point, I think it's going to be such a valuable tool. It already feels great having everything in one location.
Yeah.
and being able to, play test a deck and things, and then decide whether that's the deck that you want to run at a tournament or whatever. And if it is, then you generate the PDF. You can go and look at your Matthew count. You can get a screenshot of the deck with high res images and, shoot that into the Discord to get feedback and things. A lot of things here. But yes, the pricing, I think, is a fantastic ad overall. I know that initial concerns were, we're advertising that this game is very expensive to get into. And potentially we are advertising that. But at a base level, some of these decks are mostly Times to Come cards. Well, just buy you a couple boxes of Times to Come and you can almost build all of these decks. I mean, that includes at least 3. I believe there's at least 3 dominants that you can play out of that. You have Bound in Battle, you have Ancient of Days, and you have, what's the other one for Daniel? I'm missing one. Oh, if you pair it with like the Greeks or whatever, you can play that evil dominant. So then you get some IJ starters to offset potentially. It's not going to be optimal, but there's a way to make decks in a more affordable manner. And that's another thing to where if we potentially get to where you can put together even some not great decks out of mostly roots cards, that would be another thing to kind of show the kind of a path for jumping into the game without having to spend a lot of upfront money. But is there anything else you've noticed about the site since you last logged on?
There was the immediate filter to get rid of the 100 card decks.
Yep. That's thanks to Gabe. Gabe was like, I'm tired of seeing these cards. I don't imagine that's not how he shared it, but I don't know that he took a lot of frustration when he wrote that, but I could just see him be like, man, another 100 card deck. Boom. Get it out of here.
And we don't have anything on it yet, but there's a tournament results tab too. So yes. I'm excited for that as well.
I am excited about that too. And that I would assume is going to be kind of, we can't label our own decks as winners maybe, and maybe it's automatically done with tournament host turn in things or something. I don't know. But eventually it would be nice to be able to see tournament winning decks and things and sort through those. And I guess while we're on it, another thing that he mentioned, someone suggested, and he said he wants to work towards is, like I have War and Mayhem. That's the deck that I'm all about right now. That deck. I just went to a tournament. I played it for the first time in a tournament across the rounds and saw several potential changes that could be made and improved on. And I went and made a copy and started making changes. I've completely changed the defense and things. But now if I post that publicly, I would have to do like V2 in the name or something, as opposed to the changes and a change log being on the actual deck. So you get to look at one deck and then see the transitions through different iterations, all tied together to the same unique deck, if that makes sense. And he said that is something that he does want to eventually work on getting added in here too. I could be wrong. I didn't go and investigate a lot, but there's a spotlight. If you're looking at a deck and you go to view, you can go to spotlight and you just tell me what you think this is, because it looks to me like maybe this is made just for potentially like Jaden or whenever someone does YouTube videos. You have player 1 and player 2, and you can type in. So I can say right here, I can change this to Jake, and then I can change player 2 here to Hendrix, and now I can keep score right here. So I can. Interesting. You just went up 1. Nope, you played your Son of God in Second Coming. You're at 3. Wow. Then I come back and beat you 5-3.
That was.
But then it goes all the way up to 7. So it's obviously set up for type 2 as well. Have you noticed this yet?
I've not noticed. I couldn't see exactly. So spotlight where?
Yeah. So if you just load a deck, and then go to view.
Okay, like loading into the goldfish.
Yeah, like when you would look at it.
Okay.
As if you were in the deck builder. So you might have to copy a deck.
Okay, copying it. There you go.
And then you get main, reserve, stats, details, view. Under view, if you do spotlight, it brings up a window that has like the score, and you can click into player 1 and player 2 and change the names.
That's amazing. So
and I'm guessing this is set up so if you were recording potentially a YouTube video, you could cover up the deck builder part and have
that's cool.
Your YouTube video there. I don't know if that's what it's made for. I don't know if it's made for eventually potentially, playing games here. I have no idea, but I do know that this is new. I just saw it. I don't know what it means, but I'm excited for whatever it means.
We put a spotlight on Spotlight, even though we don't know exactly what it's for.
Yes, there we go. But I could be completely wrong. That could have already been there, and I just never saw it.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost like, I don't even know. It's like the stock market, man. When you hit refresh, like it's constantly changing. Like you got to keep up with it. Tim is
to the moon. It's gone to the
out
moon.
of this world, man. So I was really kind of bummed that we didn't get to have him on this episode. But whenever we do have that conversation, I'm excited to pick his brain and figure out what that roadmap of what all he's planning on doing with that could be. That's it, man. I guess we won't harp on that too much, and then we'll kind of move here, because I think it's important to spotlight, because if it fails, it's going to look bad on me. But I am helping host nationals, so I'm going to tell you that the road to nationals, the road to nationals runs through tournament season. It's 113 days away. Wednesday night recording. You might get this in 2, 3, 4, 5 days, depending on the editing process. So it'll be different at that point. But 113 days away. Pre-registration has been live for a little while. I think we're up to 16 or 17 people that have pre-registered, and I know others that are definitely coming and definitely going to be there that just have not registered. And for whatever reason, maybe you're figuring out lodging and things, and that's all understandable. But I just want to remind people that we are trying to get custom name tags. I'm working on putting those together as people register. But there is a deadline of June 1st for that, so that we can make sure that we have enough time to order those, get them in. And, when the time comes, we may end up pushing it a little bit. And, anybody that registers by 6:15 or whatever, wherever we think that, we can get away with. We don't want to wait too long to where we end up with delays and things, and we don't get them in time for nationals. So if you know that you're coming, you already have kind of your lodging figured out, or, you don't even have to put the only lodging question on there is whether you're staying at the church or not. And if you end up wanting or needing to stay at the church and you need to make that change after you've registered, a quick DM, we can go in there and boom, click and change an option for you. And it's not a big deal. I want to kind of, break down the barrier for registering if you want to go ahead and do that. And then if you have an image that you want us to use for your card, then you can submit that to us. But we do know, obviously, you've got all of the official things for nationals, and those are obviously going to happen kind of the same pattern that they've been the last few years. Day 1, you're going to have Type 2 and Booster Draft. Then you're going to have Type 1 on Friday, and then Saturday is going to be Teams and Sealed. But there is going to be the Ironman side event. It's going to be hosted by Your Turn Games. Several options for prizes and things there. A lot of that's going to be determined on the number of participants. And then we have a Paragon side event. We had Kirk Hake on a couple of episodes ago to share about his new player or fan-made format. It's not an official format. Eventually, maybe we could get enough traction and it could become that. But right now, it's an unofficial format. But he is hosting a side event. He's got some of the Paragon characters printed that he's going to give out. I heard a rumor there might be some souls there that potentially could be printed as well, but that's not, I guess, official. And then we also have the fantasy draft. And I'm hoping that the next time we record, so episode 99, I can have fantasy draft details hammered out and share those. We do know it will be hosted by Justin Alstead, and I need confirmation from one person that said that they would do it last year. I'm hoping they'll still do it, and it still works out for them. But I do know that we've got Brian Jones, who will be taking a team. Now, Brian is one of the more competitive people that I know. I feel like I'm pretty competitive. Tyler has been pretty competitive with it. So at least 3 people that are going to be pretty competitive with drafting players and things like that. I assume Tyler is still on board to do it. So if you're not, I just roped you into it, Tyler. But again, I'll confirm all of those details and hopefully we'll have that. But we are also doing some giveaways, kind of like door prizes and things. So far, we know that we will potentially be giving away a box of whatever is available at Nationals.
Nice.
We'll talk about that in a minute when we talk about spoilers. But we're giving away a box of that. We're going to give away a box of the current set Times to Come, what is available now. I believe that I will be giving away at least 1, maybe 2 sets of the 100th episode commemorative cards or whatever.
Yeah,
The full
that's gonna
set
be
of
awesome.
that. So if you want to get all of those, there will not be any foils given away. I passed all of those over to Andy at Kentucky State. So he has those so that when he starts distributing them, he can randomly throw in a foil here and there. And then I have the ones, so each person that I got, that I use their likeness, I have a foil for them out of that batch of foils to give them. So Jake, I've got you covered, buddy. I've got your cards.
Thank you.
Now you just got to come to Nationals to get them.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing some cool giveaways, and all of that will be predicated. We'll do drawings, and your name tag will have a number, kind of like a set number, and we will use that as the way to do the giveaways. So I am excited about Nationals. I know that, it might not work out for you, Jake, but I'm hopeful that this is going to be one of the more fun Nationals that I've been able to be a part of. And if it's not, blame Brian, not me.
I like it.
So that's going to bring us to some upcoming tournaments. And yes, we do have tournament results. We've even got power rankings for you guys. I know that we've talked about it. We've teased about it. I don't know if they're going to be great if you're going to agree or disagree, but I don't care. They're my rankings. I'll even save Jake. If you're mad at Jake, he didn't make the rankings this time. He's got to sign off on them now when we share them. He's got to take some of it. But if you want to be mad at someone, for the most part, be mad at me. But we've got that, and we'll go over those tournament results. But before that, we want to spotlight the upcoming tournaments because we will use those results to transition into the power rankings. So you want to take this first upcoming tournament that's coming up in just a few days?
I do. California State, April 10th and 11th at Arcadia Friends Community Church, Arcadia, California, hosted by the Kurt Hake again. Here we go.
The godfather of Paragon.
Exactly.
The Paragon father.
The Paragon father. Door fee, $15. Sealed deck, $20. Booster draft, $35. It's going to be a good one. Hopefully you get to see Babuni up there.
I'm interested to see the results from that because I feel like Tim should win that. No offense to anyone there. He should win that, but I could also see Kurt, he's got a very analytical mind. Mm-hmm. He might have something up his sleeve. But while that's happening, there's also going to be the New York State tournament. And I'll tell you about New York State, but I'll also mention that leading up to this, the day before or the evening before or whatever, they are planning to have a local so that they get a test run of Type 1, I believe. That's the category that they're playing for. So it's going to be a local leading into the state tournament. So an additional category, an additional promo, kind of a cool way to segue, and make it worth the additional travel and things for people coming from far away and whatnot. I wish I could make it up to New York State again, but anyway, this is going to be on the 10th and the 11th as well of April. It's going to be at North Park Wesleyan Church in Cuba, New York. So if you go to the other Cuba, the country, you're going to be wrong. It's the other direction. This is going to be hosted by Rob Moulier. I probably butchered that. We call him Rob M for a reason. And Jason Ritchie.
Nice.
Constructed categories are all going to be $5 each. Sealed deck is going to be $12, and booster draft is going to be $30. And then I'll go ahead and I'll kick it to you since, it's my tournament. I'll let you talk about my tournament.
Yeah, let's go. We're heading to Alabama State next, April 17th and 18th at the Tuscaloosa First Assembly of God, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, hosted by our very own John Hendricks himself. And with that, we got sealed deck at $12 and booster draft for $25. Those are some good prices there in Alabama.
Yep. The other tournament that's happening on the 17th and 18th, well, there's two. Technically, one's happening on the 18th. I'll let you do that in a minute. But the return of the Type 2 only. So the Type 2 only, this is something that, is it a figment of my imagination or of people's imagination? Is it a relic of ancient history of redemption? Is it real? Did it ever really exist? I don't know, because it's never happened since I've been in the game. But people talk about it, and they have great memories of it. So it's kind of cool to know that it's coming back. Now, I had an idea that when they did the Type 2 only, that it was kind of done in the dead period, like after Nationals. But this is happening in the middle of tournament season. So I don't know if that's the way it's always been, but I'm just going to give you the results or the information here that Jaden shared. So it's going to be a local tournament with Type 2 2-player as its only category. And they RIP Type 2 multi, he put. So you can't play multi as an official category. It's going to be hosted by Justin Alstead, Jaden Alstead, Britta Molly, and Wild, Strike Through, Mild Bill Voigt. So he used to be Wild, but he's gotten older and he's now mild. It's going to be the 17th and 18th at Community of Grace Lutheran Church in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. The schedule is going to be on Friday. They're going to play Type 2 multiplayer cube draft. Yes, you read that correctly, is what it says here. I want to run the other direction already. Type 2 and multiplayer and cube draft? Dog, I'm out. I'm checking the exits. I'm out of here. But they're going to play that. Also, they're going to be playing Type 2 teams, as if there could be anything that you would want to do with Type 2 and teams together. Like, that's crazy. So these are going to be the events that are not official because they're playing, categories that are not technically allowed and sanctioned by Cactus Game. Type 1 Ironman will also run throughout the weekend, kind of like at Nationals. So if anyone just wants to hang out and not play Type 2, so that would be me over in the corner if I was not hosting my tournament and I was able to make it there. But then 8 a.m. the next day is when they'll open the doors and do deck check, and Type 2 2-player will happen at 9, hopefully playing 6 rounds. Gosh, 6 rounds of that awful No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. Whoa, I didn't say it. It started to come out. It kind of, you heard what you thought was it, but I didn't say it. That different category. I just couldn't imagine spending 6 rounds playing this, but that's them. And they'll likely take lunch after round 3. So that's a lot more information than the other tournaments, but because it's kind of the return of something that, has been done in the past and stuff, I really wanted to spotlight it. The Type 2 only. And they didn't sucker me in. I'm not going this year, but it would be cool, even if I don't play Type 2, to be able to go and hang out. It just happens that I can't because I'm hosting my own tournament. And, if maybe it's done at a time when I could make it up next year, I would definitely be interested to go and watch people play Type 2. Type 2 is the standby category. Like, you can stand by and watch people play it. You don't understand every little thing, but it's kind of cool to see the various lines of play, because in Type 1, you can do this and that, but in Type 2, you can do it 3 and 4 times potentially, because you get to have duplicate 3 copies, 4 copies of some cards and things like that. So it's cool to watch. If you're interested in playing, it's going to be in White Bear Lake, Minnesota on the 17th and 18th. And that brings us to the last upcoming tournament that we're going to spotlight here, just because we're giving you the tournaments for the next, 2 to 3 weeks here. But you want to take this one, Jake?
Yeah, last but not least, Massachusetts State's April 18th at Netcast Church in Danvers, Massachusetts, hosted by John M.
Michelesian.
Michelesian. I should know that one. Michelesian. Sealed deck, $15, and booster draft, $25.
Those are your upcoming tournaments. And again, I'm not trying to knock anyone that, gets busy and doesn't do it, or, doesn't find it important enough. Whatever.
Leave that to me. Y'all better be there.
But the tournament results, and like when we do the results here, we're about to share, and the power rankings, we can only use the information that is shared with us, because by the time we record the podcast and want to talk about the results of a tournament, they're not yet loaded on the Cactus site, because it takes Rob a little bit of time to get those loaded and things. So if you are attending one of these tournaments, if you're hosting one of these tournaments and you want us to share and spotlight the results, we'd be happy to do so. We love doing that, but it's going to require some, collaboration from both us and a tournament goer or a tournament host. We need the results in order to be able to use them on the podcast. So
like Rob said, you need to participate to get a participation thing.
Yes.
And
or,
if you want
you could shuttle people to and from the airport, or any number of other things that I didn't know about.
And if you want to be on our power rankings, you need to communicate with us. So
yes, if you go to a tournament and you want to be on the power rankings, you need to get results, or push your host to get us the results and things. Not in a standoffish way, but just
we got to be like Wimby. Show yourself. I'm the MVP. I'm the MVP.
Bringing up more Spurs. I got it. So that's going to bring us to tournament results from the last couple of weeks. Again, I'm not trying to to point anyone out or cast a negative light on anything, but I do not have the Arkansas State tournaments results in order to share. So anything that we talk about for power rankings or anything here is without knowledge of what happened and occurred and who won and what decks were played and things of that nature at Arkansas State.
Oregon State.
But at Oregon State, Type 1-2 player, this was one of the categories that Chad was worried about finding someone to help judge so that he could play, but he ended up working that out and he got to play. And similar results to what we've seen the last few years. We've got Chad France winning that, coming in first place. In second place was Aiden Reisenbigler. And Titus Welch, I believe he mentioned is a sixth grader. He came in third.
Go Titus.
I believe that's right. I could be wrong. That's just going from quick memory. Type 2 player was won by Alexander Goad, who played against Gavin Young. It looks like they only had 2 players for that category. So that's first and second there. Booster draft, that's the other category that Chad needed to help to find someone to judge so he could play. And again, it worked out. Similar pattern, similar results. Chad France coming in first place. Second place was Alan Gonzalez. And Titus Welch came in third.
Let's go, Titus.
In sealed deck, Aiden Reisenbigler took first. Alexander Goad took second. And Henry Brophy took third. That's a cool last name, Brophy. My Brophy trophy.
Yo, Brophy.
In teams, Aiden Reisenbigler. So a lot of Aiden Reisenbigler here.
Aiden's rising.
He paired with Caden Welch, maybe the brother, I guess, of Titus Welch potentially.
Yeah.
They came in first. Alan Gonzalez and Henry Brophy came in second. And Alexander Goad and Titus Welch came in third.
Way to go.
So those are your results for the 2026 Oregon State Tournament.
Kentucky State.
Yeah, we got Kentucky State here. Type 1-2 player. Taking first place, we got Josiah Zhang. Next, Sean Sievers. And third, Mitch Stewart. Type 2-2 player. E-Man taking down first place, followed by Chris Fashman, Mitch Stewart in third. Booster, we have Sean Sievers, followed by E-Man, and then Philip Anderson. Sealed, we have, who is this? Joan.
Better double check it for a typo.
Joan Hendricks. That guy. He got sealed. He got first place. John Hendricks got first and sealed. Chris Fashman got second. And Luke Anderson got third. In teams, E-Man and Mitch Stewart take down first. Andy Fish and Brandon Swango take second. And Sean Sievers and Philip Anderson take third. That looks like a really fun tournament to go to.
Yeah. And I guess this is where I will tell people. I did charge my microphone and I told people I had it charged and I was ready to potentially record. But there was several flights affected. And I think it was like 6 different flights were affected in some way. And then like double-digit people reached out in the last week or two, and was not able to make it. So it ended up actually being a much smaller tournament than what Kentucky State has been the last few years. I think we still had a healthy group. I think we had, if I had to guess, close to 15 in Type 1. But it ended up being smaller, dare I say, a little bit more intimate, kind of like just hanging out and whatever, than being the big tournament scene that it has been. So I ended up not, just taking it in the moment and stuff. I didn't prioritize recording. I didn't even plan to play, but I got talked into playing. I took a deck prepared to play potentially, but I was also going to help judge and, because I'm not playing at nationals and things. So just kind of take a step back and hang out and in not playing, go around and potentially interview and things. But since I ended up playing, which I had a blast playing, but potentially I gaslit people and made them think they were going to get a bunch of potential interviews and things at Kentucky State, and we didn't do that. But we had good barbecue the night before we headed out. So good barbecue, no interviews, because we were thinking about, or I was trying to talk Chris into giving me a snippet of things about some information, we'll talk about in spoilers of stuff that they were going to share in the coming week and whatnot. But we ended up deciding not to do that and going to eat instead. And it was great barbecue. So yeah, there we've got that.
Lackey Grand Prix.
Now for the Lackey Grand Prix, we do have the final results. Again, I told you earlier when we went over news and notes and I mentioned Redemption with Jaden. I'm telling you now, if you don't want to know the final, click off. Actually, don't click off, just fast forward. We want you to stay on and engaged. But the final or the top cut for Lackey Grand Prix 27 included Chad, See the Tree, and Micah Rex like Dino or Dino. They were one matchup, and then the Jailer, Jaden Alstead, and Kevin the Dude, Josh Potratz. So a lot of familiar names here in top cut, and then Rex making it, who might be the most improved player over the last couple of years in the Redemption community. The Jailer defeated Kevin the Dude 5-4 to move on to the final. See the Tree defeated the Jailer. Oh, I'm sorry. See the Tree defeated Rex like Dino 5-3, and the Jailer defeated Kevin the Dude 5-4 to move into the final. Then the top cut final, again, your last warning. All right, here we go. We're ripping the Band-Aid off. See the Tree beat the Jailer. Not only did he beat him 5-1, so now I'm interested. And I'm kind of disappointed. Not like really, truly disappointed, but more of bummed out that we focused on one of Chad's decks last week, because it would have been cool to spotlight his deck this week on this episode or whatever. Or I say last episode, and then this episode. So I ended up picking a different deck. I'm interested to see how that game turns out. And obviously the deck that he played is out there. It's the 2 arrows or 2 plungers, whatever. And then, he's got all of the information and stuff. You can go and read about it. But that is what we have. And that is the information that we will take with us as we harness the powers that be and present to you this season's first Power Rankings.
And now, it's time to find out where the hottest players in the game stack up in this week's Power Rankings. This is the top 10 Redemption players right now, according to us.
According to us.
All
right, Jake, I'm going to let you start us off.
Yeah, here we go.
10.
We got Micah Rex like Dino, making his debut here on the Power Rankings. Very cool.
Yep, I do think this is his first time, and again, well-deserved. I think he's a very improved player over the last couple of years.
9.
At number 9, someone I got to hang out with this past weekend, someone I think showed up and did well at the TJC way back when, before the new year. Mitch Rob Stew on the Discord. He, I think he did well there, and then he, showed up and did pretty well. I think he came in, third in both Type 1 and Type 2 at the Kentucky State Tournament. And he's been working a couple of different decks. He's got the Daniel thing going, but also he's been working on a Cool Profits deck. So definitely enjoyed hanging out with him, and I think he's well-deserved to be included in the top 10 so far this season.
8.
We got someone who's rising, and they're getting some big plays in. We got Aiden Rising Bigler coming up here at number 8.
Yep, I heard your failed attempt at a dad joke there. He's rising up, and he's bigger. He's bigger on the rankings, I guess. I'll let you slide on that one, but yes, nice to see Aiden Rising Bigler here for what he did at the Oregon State Tournament.
7.
And much akin to him and, his results at the Oregon State Tournament, pushing him onto this list. We also have Sean Severs from Tennessee there with Chris Fashman and his play group. I believe he is Frosty138 on the Discord, if I am misquoting that. Oh, well, you stick a microphone in front of me, I get to make mistakes. But I'm pretty sure that is his Discord handle, his name there. But he came in second in Type 1, 2-player, and then he won Booster. And, if you want to throw it in there, he came in third in teams. So there's that. But coming in second in Type 1, 2-player there really pushed him on this list.
6.
At 6, we have the Kentucky State champion himself, Josiah Zhang, taking down number 6.
Yep. It's always cool to see some of Brian's kids do well. And he's had some that's done well over the years, but Josiah is a thorn in my side, so to speak. I don't believe I've actually beat him in a tournament. I've played him a couple of times, and I think he's gotten me both times.
He's got your number.
Yeah, and he even reminded me, he's like, didn't I beat you at the first Mr. Classic? Yes, I was trying to play a combo deck. It did not work. Thanks.
That's funny.
But yeah, cool to see him win.
5.
At number 5, we've got friend of the podcast, previous, prior, and future host of the fantasy draft at Nationals. That's right. We've got the Guardian himself, Justin Alstead, repping that Brown Tower this tournament season. He is in 5th place.
4.
We hear the sounds of the jungle with Baboony Tim Estes coming in with a strong number 4.
He hasn't played recently in the Lucky Grand Prix, I don't believe, but he did win Lucky Grand Prix 24. He just won the online local. And we did say at some point a component of this would be kind of the decks people are building and how they're piloting decks and things. And I think he's still at the forefront of deck discovery and deck refinement with, starting I feel like he was a big proponent of starting the 100 card trend in the game, and that's just taken off. So well deserved to be here.
3.
At number 3, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, whatever you want to say. We've got the jailer. We've got Jaden Alstead. I know we just highlighted the fact that Chad beat him, so that's a bummer, so to speak. But he also has been, I want to say, at least 3 straight, maybe 4 straight Lucky Grand Prix top cuts, playing a variety of deck. Kind of in that same thing with Tim, where he's constantly, breaking out new decks and things and whatnot. So well deserved to have him here on the list.
Agreed.
And kind of a staple of it can't be a list of top 10 players in Redemption without Jaden, right?
Agreed.
2.
At number 2, we have Emmanuel I'm always going to get the last name wrong. Echavarria. With an E-Man coming in at number 2 with a really strong last few weeks.
Yep. Being in a previous top cut for Lucky Grand Prix, the one that Justin won, and then he won Type 2 at Kentucky State, and I don't know what happened in Type 1. I really thought he was going to do very well, but I definitely think he deserves for where he is. He's also high on the RNRS rankings going into this round of tournaments. This past weekend, he was number 1 in both Type 1 and Type 2. Obviously, Chad, with his win in Oregon State, jumped up there, but E-Man maintained his spot in Type 2. So that's going to bring us to
1.
Number 1, and I just said it. I mean, he's got 2 plungers, he's got 2 arrows, he's got a ton of random decks that just I don't know what it is. He makes decks and they just flat out work. They do. And no doubt about it. Number 1 right now with the Lucky Grand Prix win. After not doing well in the last Lucky Grand Prix and using that as a way to, go back to the drawing board with this deck, refine it. You can read all about that on the deck list, on the community decks page on Redemption CCG app. But Chad France, absolutely the hottest player in the game right now. If you were to take a snapshot of the tournament season, someone's going to have to do something to jump over Chad because he's here, maybe to stay. But Chad France is going to be our debut number 1 player on the first rendition of the power rankings for this tournament season. So congratulations to you, Chad.
Congratulations.
Well, actually, hold on. Whoa. Yeah, here we go. Boom. Chad, number 1. Woo! I'm terrible with the soundboard, but we got him in the chamber somewhere. We just got to find him. So congratulations to Chad, who takes down our top spot in the power rankings.
This week's Deck of the Week is presented by Your Turn Games. Join us as we take a deeper look at a deck that has sparked our interest and spotlight the mind behind it.
Yep, that's right. It's Deck of the Week. Again, I told you guys, even though it's not every week that we're recording, that's the soundbite that I paid for, and that's what we're going to use. This is the deck of the whatever, and it turns out this is the deck of the last 2 to 3 weeks. But we're going to spotlight kind of something we have not done yet on the podcast here. We're going to spotlight Deck of the Week, and it's going to be a Type 2 deck. So it's 100 cards with a 15-card reserve. That's kind of the setup here. Not like Type 1 to where you're being funky and pushing up to 100 cards, but this is Type 2, and this is called Big Daniel Babylonians, and it won Kentucky State first for Emmanuel Echavarria. And E-Man, I think I've said it before. I might have said it on the podcast, I'm not sure. When blue stuff was getting touched up and it was coming out in IR, I was super excited. And then when it came out, it kind of felt a little flat. I'm not going to talk about the set. I'm not going to bash it or anything. For various reasons, it just didn't live up to the hype that I built up for it. I'm glad that his deck is doing well. The stuff that came out for Daniel has worked well for him. He seems to enjoy playing it. So I'm happy for him and getting to see him go and win a tournament like Kentucky State. And I know that, Jaden wasn't there. Tyler wasn't there. Other people that maybe would have played Type 2 weren't there. Jeremy didn't make it. But again, even with those people, I think he would have done very well, because if anybody knows Daniel stuff and what Daniel has been in the past, it's Emmanuel. And then you add on to it all this new stuff, and he's rolled with it, thrown it in his deck, spent way too much money chasing foils and things. But I did get to play his Type 1 version of Daniel with my Genesis First Animals deck the night before Type 1. I got a game in before we did Booster Draft. We didn't quite finish it, but I would like to say that I was up 3-1. I was up 3-1, and I'm not sure that he was going to come back and beat me. I think I drew 11 extra cards on my first turn, in addition to some searching. Super fast deck. He tried to talk me into playing it for Type 1 the next day, but I stuck with if I was going to play, I was going to play the War and Mayhem deck, and that's what I ended up doing. But I enjoyed playing. E-Man he might be the most fun player to play against. Like it's all laughs, it's all fun. There's never any animosity about anything. Great opponent, fantastic. I think everyone kind of has the same record here. I will say, as much as we're doing this and we want to spotlight Type 2, especially with the Type 2 only coming up, I definitely want to get into where the podcast can. I don't want to lean too far into it, because I don't have any desire to really learn and adapt and grow into being a Type 2 player. But I want to showcase it enough and share it enough that we are, giving life to it on the podcast as well. So we may be out of pocket here talking about this deck, but I definitely wanted to spotlight it here. How much experience do you have with Type 2? Do you have any?
I have slight experience with Type 2, more watching than playing, but I've played a few times.
Yeah, it's great to watch. I said earlier, it's great to watch it. It is a great spectator sport. Especially when they get those little pebbles and for experience credits, and they put them down, and
exactly.
You have no idea what's going on. You just know they're playing with rocks and cards at the same time. What do you think of this deck as far from your limited viewpoint? Because I feel like there's a ton of cards that I don't know necessarily the ratios that people are shooting for. There's quite a few cards in here where it feels like I would probably play 4 of Seized by Babylon, 4 of the Mass that interrupts and draws and plays, and he's at 3. He only has 1 copy of Conjurers. I would probably potentially have another because of the pull and things. Not to mention it's generic.
We want to note that none of his evil cards are at 4 of, so there's that for sure. Let me see here. One thing I like to note is a lot of the Babylonian cards are Daniel, so that helps him keep up with his Ancient Days count. Let me see. Does it have stats on the actual cards by book? I don't think it has that yet, so we can tell Tim to add that to
create more work for him.
Exactly. But the defense looks really cool. Babylonian Unity. The only non-Babylonians are in the deck are the Amalekite Slaves, which is used with Murderous Command or just on its own to swap out to a Babylonian. So he's got some really good strength here. We have some cool combos in here. Babylonian Merchants. If an opponent uses search ability, you may capture and this is territory class. You may capture their human to a land of bondage. So that's always a strong ability.
So good.
And then you have the Overseer here. So it's a territory class as well. Once return of your evil Babylonian captures a hero, you may capture a hero. So a second capture, just chaining off of that. There's a lot of capture abilities in here. We see his defense is also running Raiders Camp. If your evil human captures a hero, you can hold it here. And if your evil human is defeated, you can release contents to restrict players from rescuing lost souls this turn. So there are a lot of ways he's got to just really mess up somebody's offense, to really throw a gear in somebody's, throw a twig in throw a stick in somebody's gears. Just really cause some pain for some people here. So this Babylonian defense is looking pretty good. Lots of Daniel cards that'll help his Ancient of Days. A really good suite of dominance he's got here. Valley of Dry Bones. Really cool with a capturing deck because you get to like turn all their characters that were captured into your characters. Really cool. Again, that's not messing with your unity. That's nice. And on the offense, we see 4 Prayer Over Power. That's one of the few cards he's actually using 4 of. We also see 4 Angelic Guidance to help search up silver cards. Prayer Over Power is insane in terms of negating 3 different evil cards, drawing 3 cards. Really cool. The heroes tend to be a good balance of around 2 of each, but a lot of banding, a lot of Daniel shenanigans. Lost Soul package looks really cool. We got Wicked in there for the ROP. We got Distress. We got a couple Humble. So it's really cool here. He's got a really, really interesting deck. I'm really excited. I would love to see this in actual play, but a lot of Babylonian unity, a lot of strong cards here, and it looks really strong to me.
It's kind of a bummer that the flight got messed up for Jaden because we ended up not having live streaming at Kentucky State where we normally would, so that we could potentially see some gameplay with this during the course of the night. I know that they played after Booster Draft, they played Type 2, so I don't know how long they went on that. I was kind of set over it and working on tweaking my deck and talking to Brian and things and not really paying attention that much. But one of the things that I do want to highlight, and I don't know anything about the ratios here, so I'm trying here to branch out and, develop a little bit more prowess with this category since it's not one that I'm super familiar with. I don't really understand why some cards are great to have only 2 copies of when it feels like it could be 4 potentially and things like that. So that's something, maybe as we look into deck building in Type 2 a little bit closer in the future, maybe we'll figure that out. But one of the most important cards in this meta, bar none across all categories, is Wicked Lost Soul. I know you said it. He's got that in there for the regardless of Protect. But with so much Protect going around, I mean, there's nothing that can fill that space. What it does, being a modifier on a Lost Soul, so it's not negated by neutrals, giving you regardless of Protect if you need to rip your Seized by Babylon, and then, you have a negate or something to back that up, or, interrupt the battle on top of that, and then if they undo or whatever, you chain back to that being in effect with ROP status. I think that is crazy good right now in the meta that we have. And it's finding its way into a lot of Type 1 decks where Lost Souls are a lot more compact and, like limited. You really don't want to give up a soul slot for a card that just works some of the time, and that's one of those that some of the time it might not be as important. If you run into a deck that's not trying to push a big protected ban, it's not as impactful. But you do know in this meta, it's kind of like last year, you're going to play Joshua. You might not play Joshua every round, but you're going to play Joshua. Or you were last year. I mean, you probably will still see it here and there. But this year, you're going to play Daniel. And Daniel's big thing is it's going to push a protected ban. It's going to try to protect Lost Souls for your Death of Unrighteous. It's going to try to protect, Daniel heroes from harm or whatever. And then you've got the layer of, even if you do harm them or whatever, they can be top decked with Michael. A lot of stuff like that. So getting in the regardless of Protect and trying to find the optimal moment in a game, I can only imagine that is heightened in Type 2 because you have a lot more resources that you want to throw into a battle. The battles kind of end up being a little bit more intense with back and forth because of that, unless someone just walks in and does the chump, and then you end up with a handful of stuff you really want to play, but you have to wait till the next round. But I guess that's why they play to 7, so they can eventually get all those out of their hand.
Yeah.
But we probably didn't do justice here for how good or even, how well structured this deck might not be. I don't know if he's pushing the boundaries here, but I definitely wanted to spotlight it. And this is part of our evolution and growth as podcast host here for the Threshing Floor 2, kind of spotlight Type 2. So Type 2 only is coming up. If you don't have a deck, this is a great one. And if you need to buy it, load it up, figure out which cards you need, buy it from Your Turn Games by using the deck builder on Redemption CCG app. It all comes full circle, baby. All comes full circle.
Type 2 according to us.
Yes, Type 2 according to us. And now that's going to get us to quite possibly my favorite part of the podcast when we do it. And we're loaded this time, so I am super excited for this.
The following segment contains spoilers that may or may not have been approved by the Royal Order for the Secrecy of Expansion Sets. Proceed with caution.
Proceed with caution.
Here we go.
If you don't want to be spoiled about things that are coming out, then skip, turn off, whatever you got to do. But I've got it here on the outline. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, we've got a lot of root spoilers, and I mentioned last time we were recording that the community was working together to try to crack Chris's code. They ended up cracking it shortly after we put out the last episode, I believe. And so we are entitled to, at some level, 30 Roots 2 spoilers. So eventually we will have up to 30 Type 2 spoilers. And what's crazy is I believe we're already over that. But that cracking that code, I think it was, or maybe it was 31. They were going to give us one from each set that was spoiled or whatever, or that had a thing. Maybe it was 31, but one of them was 0, so 30. But then it seems like they've just kind of gone off the rails and shared a lot more. So we do have Roots 2 spoilers. Now we can kind of hit these quickly and go through a couple of the ones that we have not gone over yet. Just maybe 2 or 3 that we really want to talk about here. So I'll let you pick out. I'll let you
You're
pick out
asking
one
me
or
to
two
limit
here.
all these amazing. There's so
I
many.
mean, we could spend an hour
go.
just talking about Roots
We
2
could
spoilers.
spend an hour going through these things.
I would say I'm fairly certain that Roots 2 is kicking it up a notch. It's like that old Emerald,
No, it is.
the show with Emerald, the chef guy. It's like, we're going to kick it up a notch.
Little spice.
Yes.
Bam.
So I'm excited. I'll let you pick a card here. You just pick one and tell me what you think about something.
Hezekiah's Signet Ring. I mean, this is a card that is actually one of the scroll cards you might want to keep. You might want to have kept up until this point. Now it's going to be back here in Roots, and basically the same thing. Restrict players from searching all decks, discard piles, reserves. There might be a few things that are different, but that's basically what it did last time. And this is a very powerful effect. This is not protecting. This is restricting. It's a lot more ironclad. It's a very powerful effect. And if there's any decks that are going to be built around strangling opponents, this is probably going to be a key piece in those decks.
If you're a grindy player, you're wearing this piece of jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first got into the game. I got into the game with Brad, former co-host, and he bought the Joshua Warriors or Joshua Heroes contender deck, and one of the cards it had was Hezekiah's Signet Ring, and I had a flood deck, and that card caused me so much grief. The original version that just it hit the opponent, didn't hit you. This one is more tame and balanced because it's hitting both players equally. So restrict players, so all players from searching all decks, discard piles, and reserves. That is something that you could pair up with potentially some other grindy components. Maybe stop them from playing dominance with the cross. Maybe throw a Nazareth lock on top of this if you want to be that really grindy player. So it's just another tool in the toolbox for that play style potentially. One that I think is cool, and we'll just kind of bounce back and forth here a couple times, but I really like, they call it fight by the numbers, but the lost soul.
I was going to put that one next.
Negate other lost souls. The only thing that I wish was that this was cannot be prevented or cannot be, I wouldn't say cannot be interrupted or cannot be negated, but it would be nice if they have negate neutrals down and they're using some kind of soul, lockdown package that this could come out and negate their stuff, CBP. That would be really cool. But again, it's Roots, and I know that they're worried about the balance of the game and things, but I think that would be really cool to have made sure it worked through a negate neutral character or negate neutral ability. But I do like this nonetheless. I think
this is a really good soul.
I think for, we were talking about potentially building those Roots only type decks, that they won't be all that great. This is one of those tools that lets them be better than they could be by potentially cutting out a lot of, even if you will eventually get an answer to this, because you've got Woes, you've got Son of God, you've got different things that can get this off the board. If you draw your Prosperity while this is out, your Hopper while this is out, then you've missed the timing on those things. So it can be impactful even if eventually you're going to get the answer, but you don't have it in the moment that this hits the board. It can be impactful. I think it also, one of the big impacts is the fact that it potentially is going to stop the soul gen of, or when Old Testament souls come out, and you get to create a token with all souls. This counteracts that. So if you're doing potentially a lockdown strategy, you're trying to negate things, this lets you do that. And I believe it's Luke reference. So it lets you do that with a Lost Soul package that is New Testament based if you wanted to do Unity New Testament souls.
Mm-hmm.
So what other thing is grabbing your attention?
I got a few things here. Here's my list. We'll go with Paul next. Paul the Bondservant. And I'm not picking the Paul because this card is insane. I think this card is decent. Like, I don't think this card is insane, but I love the fact that we're actually getting more access to Paul. He's literally one of my favorite heroes from the Bible. And so to have more access to this character, because the other Paul we have right now is a promo. And I don't think I have it. I might have to trade it for it, but like, it's not a card that you're going to run across commonly. Now we're actually playing Paul in our draft decks. We're going to be playing Paul potentially in constructed decks with this card. Like, I'm not saying the card is amazing, but at the same time, it's not bad either. So buildability, he's 11/11 white hero. So not multi brigade. That's good for a lot of decks. You want to keep the colors simple. You may draw 2. New Testament enhancements used by this card cannot be negated, so that's not a bad ability. Draw 2 and CBN on your enhancements that are New Testament, pretty good. The stats are a little high for a CBN character, but at the same time, like, he's still
one interrupt the battle. That's all you need.
So I'm liking this Paul. Again, I wouldn't rate this high in the power level. I'd give it like 7 out of 10 or 6 out of 10, but I still think that's very usable, and it's nice to have Paul in a more common playground here.
Yeah, I could be wrong, and I don't want to say it and be completely off base, but it felt like Roots, the first iteration of Roots, so Roots 1, I guess we will now call it. It felt like, even though there was New Testament stuff, it felt like it was predominantly Old Testament or things based on Old Testament. So I'm curious to see how much and how well the New Testament stuff all works together with this. Because, I mean, Paul is an important figure from, obviously, the Bible and the context of, the source material and all of that. And he's white, and I believe most of the white stuff from Roots that I can think of was Old Testament stuff. So I'm curious to see. And that's another thing. He's white. He's a missionary and a martyr. Previously, missionaries have been clay. They've been green clay with prophet being involved. And then martyrs have been clay with, the disciples and things. So him being white, I feel like that's kind of a tell for kind of like thematic design for potentially, like what he represents and where they're going to fit him into a set. But my next card, I think I would be remiss if I didn't bring this one up. And again, I feel like they've confirmed that these cards are going to print this way, but brother, A New Beginning.
This is crazy,
okay,
dude.
It's 4/5 on the numbers. The numbers don't matter generally unless the card's prevented or blanket negate before it's played. But if attacking, banish this card. So that's basically going to give you pseudo CBI. If attacking, banish this card. All right, got that. I banish it. Shuffle all cards in all hands. Okay, got it. In the battle. Got it. Each player must draw 8. Begin a new turn. Not begin a new phase or start, replay the phase. Start a new turn regardless of protect abilities. Now, am I wrong? I could be wrong. And I'm probably wrong. I hope I'm wrong. You work through this. It says in the battle. So if you play this with initiative, this card is going to leave. Shuffle all cards and all hands. So that means this card is going to get banished. You're going to shuffle everything in battle. In the battle, each player must draw 8. Begin a new phase or begin a new turn, regardless of protect abilities. I think that, obviously the elders are probably sure of it, and that's why they're willing to print this card. But this feels like it encapsulates all of the attempts of, what is it, like 6 erratas on the original one. But the fact that this is no unity, it's in silver, it's in green, it's in blue, and you can play this, and there's no mention of Old Testament or anything. I feel like we're going to see this potentially get played in a variety of decks. I mean, am I crazy?
I'm thinking this could be like it's really going to depend on
Jeremiah in your reserve, and then go in and immediately play this card and reset the game.
The reset is huge. If your deck is looking to get on board turn 1, you're probably not going to be playing this card very often. But at the same time, you might play it just in case you're in a mirror match and your opponent gets to do the same thing first, and you get to reset on them. So this may not be the primary game plan, but like you said, Jeremiah can play this immediately if things go well. So
and Jeremiah fits in literally every deck because he can play any enhancement in your reserve.
You could see a lot of this. It all depends on what's going to happen, but I don't think this gives special initiative. I'm not sure though. So that is interesting there because it shuffles all cards and all hands at the same time. I think that their hand will not be in play for them to play during special initiative.
Well, since it targets all cards before their hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
And it being simultaneous.
I assume they would have designed it to not be targetable, but it might be targetable during special initiative because even if it banishes itself, it can still be targeted as if it's still in play.
Yeah.
So we'll have to get the ruling on this.
That is interesting. And maybe the fact that you can't answer it in special initiative is why they're willing to print this, because you do get a chance to respond to it.
Yeah. So we'll see. If this is answerable in special initiative, it makes it a lot worse. Assuming that like you're trying to splash this off of Jeremiah or whatever, like that means you might not have another negate to follow up with the counter war. So
or you just have another one in your reserve.
Yeah.
Because he can just play that in special initiative, right?
Yeah. If this doesn't give them special initiative, this is a very strong card and going to be used by a lot of decks looking to reset the board and slow things down a bit. So very, very powerful card, regardless of protect. Very nice.
I would love for this to be kind of a jolt of life for the old Rossetti deck. I think Jay was one of the first ones to play that, where you use the Fall of Man, A New Beginning with a Flood Survivor, and you bounce things to kind of get it to reset, and you have the 3 nails reset, and this gives you potentially another reset. Just a deck that constantly is trying to reset and get a bum rush first rescue. Because I feel like at the beginning of a game, a person has a limited amount of resources to block. They have the 8 cards in hand. And of those, yes, they might have some that chain and gain them other resources, but they don't get to use a territory class to assemble and gather resources. They don't get to use an artifact. They don't get to put down a fortress that goes and does something. They don't get to do all of that. So literally they have to block with the characters and enhancements that they have access to from their hand. And so if you can get into an advantageous where you come out, you rescue, and then potentially, this rescue isn't going to go my way, and you can play this and reset, boom, and then that play style is kind of funky, but it's kind of cool because of how different it is.
Yeah, it really punishes those decks that like to expend all their dominance early, because those don't get shuffled back. Like their dominance are just going to sit in their discard pile as you restart the game, and now you're on a better footing. So yeah, very cool.
Yep. So what's another one you got?
I got here Eli's Sound Advice, and I picked this one specifically because I think this is a very good demonstration of the power level jump from Roots 1 to Roots 2. Now, let me read this. 3/3 gold enhancement, 1 Samuel reference. Negate an evil card. If used by a judge, you may draw 3. You may play an Old Testament enhancement, cannot be prevented. Now, I'm telling you, if this card was printed in Roots 1, it would be negate an evil card. If used by a judge, you may draw 2 or something. Like, this thing is chocked full of extras, goodies, right? Like drawing 3.
Are you saying Roots 2 is on steroids?
I'm saying like, yeah, like
it's the roid era of Roots.
And I'm not saying this is the most broken card ever, but like I think Amazing Faith is better still. But the point is, like, this is a very respectable enhancement here.
It's touching that level. Yeah, like it's not there, but it's approaching that level. I guess
it's approaching. Yeah. Negate an evil card. If you get a judge, draw 3, play an Old Testament enhancement next, and CBP. All of this is stuff that you're like, man, this is actually really good. So this just goes to show me that they're really letting Roots 2 breathe a little bit, picking a little strength. Again, I'm not going to say these are the most powerful cards in Redemption, but like these are more respectable and more they have more impact, I think. So I think this is a classic example of just showing what a good enhancement in Roots 2 is going to look like compared to a good enhancement in Roots 1.
So one other one that I'll highlight before we move on to looking at something else is Dragon Raid, a fortress. And this is one of those cards that when I came into the game, Dragon Raid was already kind of outclassed by the power creep in the game and things. It wasn't a card that anyone was playing. I believe the Dragon Raid that we currently have, even though it is rotation legal, I believe, I think it's on the new card face, best I can remember. It just negates Lost Souls in play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can get that ability as kind of a throw in on other things, or you have a negate neutral character. You don't really have to play a site or a fortress to get you that kind of ability. This thing right here is, this has kind of been the vein of a new beginning to it. It's like, wow, did they really print that thing or send it to the printer this way? But while a character is blocking, okay, so you remove my last character, okay, and now you're blocking. While a character is blocking, you may underdeck this card and add a good OT profit to battle. Now, I'm thinking about the wide variety of decks that this will fit into. And then, I mentioned that, you've removed my hero. Think about it. As soon as you block, you get your ability. Someone can do this to add, Amos, and shuffle their evil card, CBI.
Nice.
I mean, just the kind of things that this could enable. And then you think about it, a character like Jeshua that can play a fortress from deck every time he comes into battle. Post-exilics get to underdeck this when you block and add a different profit to battle. So they get to add somebody else. And now that won't trigger anything that says attacks or whatever, because that's only the first ones to get presented. So potentially, you might lose some on some abilities to get added to battle. But this thing right here, I can already see the wheel spinning for me and kind of decks that it could fit into. And perhaps it even fits into a deck that uses something like a New Beginning. Maybe they're blocking, you see you're not going to win that, and you add Jeremiah to battle, or you add somebody to battle that can get a New Beginning played off. I'm excited for the things with this one,
exciting.
But it does seem like it's approaching that power level to where it's like, wow, is that really, is it okay or whatever? And I'm sure it will be. A lot of these things end up working themselves out to where, is there going to be somebody that expends a resource like this and just loops it together? Sure, it's going to be a redemption with Jaden Video. We know it. We already know it. But, a lot of times these things end up balancing themselves out. Like one of the craziest combos in the game to this day is Love on Devouring Philistines. Make them discard 6 cards in their territory. Or, I'm sorry, 9 because of the brigades in battle. How many times have you ever seen that done? It's just, things kind of have a way of being put on the shelf and used sparingly here and there with certain players. Some people will find it'll be like their niche little thing. But I'm super excited for the potential combo aspects of this card. So another thing here. This is also Roots 2, but today we're recording on Wednesday. We've already broke that fourth wall, kicked it down. April 1st, right? It's April 1st. It has been April Fool's Day. So if you look on, I've got that link there for you, Jake, for additional Roots 2 spoilers. I have it on good authority that these are all legitimate cards.
Nice.
These cards that people were questioning whether or not they were April Fool's jokes or not. These 7 cards that were spoiled are legitimate cards. And I'm excited for a few of these. I think my favorite out of these is, well, I have a couple of favorites, but I think the stars is really cool. It's kind of something we've seen, especially in IR. I feel like we saw it a lot where you can choose a couple of these abilities of multiple abilities. This is on a hero, and it's important that it involves music because I think there's a couple of things that can take advantage of that. It's a warrior class, Old Testament angel. It's judges, so it's going to slide into, potential judges decks depending on, the build and things. And it's 12/12, so high numbers. So take that with a grain of salt there. What you can do, you're not getting initiative with this guy for the most part, but you do get to select up to 2, and that's prevent the next evil card played in battle, which is important because it can prevent an evil character. If this is in your first line of, heroes that you're presenting, you can prevent the next evil card played in battle. So if they present an evil character that's not CBP or CBN, then you can prevent that, not just the next enhancement. You can discard an evil fortress, and you can ban to an OT angel. So just for example, any deck that's running multiple angels, you can go select 2. I'm going to prevent the next evil card played. I'm going to ban to an angel. Boom. There you go. And it's just a link in your ban that gives you a negate the next, as opposed to, doing anything crazy. It's kind of a component. It's a piece. It's it's a fastener in a project. It's not the main assembly. It's the nuts and the bolts that just kind of make something potentially work well together. It can be a link or whatever. But I really like the artwork on this. It feels kind of for like the artwork. If you look at it, it looks more like what would be an enhancement or something. But I mean,
I think it was an enhancement originally.
Okay, yeah. So that I guess that makes sense. But the reference is the stars fought from heaven. From their past, they fought against Sisera, that dirty old Sisera. CBN enhancements. I don't guess it really matters if you prevent the next evil card played in battle. Well, I guess this would prevent. It would prevent Sisera, right? He's not CBN, is he? He just grants CBN.
No, but like that's a modifier.
Because it's a modifier. So. Duh. Yeah. Just let me work my way through it. Just. But what of these other cards? Which one grabs your attention?
So we got here. So I want to mention children just for the funniness of it. That is Gold Hero 3/3. You may look at a hand that the special ability is not important. You may reserve the top 2 cards of a deck. It's just funny that we're seeing children in a battle with demons and Nebuchadnezzar.
You lost to children, bro.
So I thought that was funny. But yeah, the other one I want to point out is Net. I like this artifact. Like I don't think this is going to see constructive play necessarily, but I do think it's really cool here. While your human is blocking, you may discard this card to play an evil enhancement from opponent's hand or reserve, regardless of brigade. So I think that one is super cool. You're going to love to play this in draft because this is going to get you.
Oh yeah,
it's a draft card. Be like some really good blocks out of this, taking their best evil enhancement, playing it on your guy, and the next turn you don't have to worry about them having their best evil enhancement. You have a hand look at them. So I think this card is really cool. And I remember Net being a strong card, so it's fun to see this art back and this card being used as an artifact now. I think it's really cool.
So Roots, the original part of Roots, so Roots 1, I guess, really felt like it was kind of even though it was basic, it filled in a lot of gaps for some themes as far as giving them potential tools, like Soul Drought being a problem for a lot of decks. You can just drop in Lost Souls and things. You ended up with, what was it? The ones that made the Honeypot deck or whatever, that limited characters and things. So there was a lot of useful things. Roots 2 feels like it's the variety splash. Like you have like your baseline of this is what Roots is. And it feels like this is kind of like the variety splash. Like this is cool to do. Something like Spreading Mildew. It's a dominant and you get to discard a card except a character. And then you can give it to that card's owner, limit once per turn. That's cool, especially if they have a storehouse up or hand protection, right? Because you would discard and then you wouldn't be able to give them this card. So you would get your cake and get to eat it too.
Maybe.
I mean, it might be with mildew on it, but
yeah, I think it might be right.
And it's limit once per turn. I guess that would, if it changes hands, that would be for each player. So they would get to turn around and use it right back potentially. But yeah, it feels like this is the variety splash. Like it's the thing that's going to take some of those cards that were in Roots and just kind of give them a little variety, pick me up. But the other thing for spoilers that we have. And this is one I'm really excited about. And I know a little bit of information, so I'll share the information that I have and I know. I did talk to Chris and talk to him in great detail about it because it was kind of disappointing. And I think this announcement is going to come out tomorrow. So when I share this podcast, I'm guessing that all of this information will already have come to light. So you'll just get kind of our thoughts on it here. But as far as right now, the plan is that at Nationals, there will not be a new set released. The new set is a little bit behind what schedule they need it to be in order to release at Nationals. So it's going to be pushed to later this year. But it's okay because at Nationals, they're planning to have Roots 2 in packs and they're going to have Times to Come available, but with special alternate borders. So that's exciting. Kind of what Revelation of John and Cloud of Witness got to where they had a basic version released and then they had at Nationals the exclusive alternate borders, and those were pretty cool. And then kind of the alternate borders became the standard until IR came out and it went back to kind of the basic approach, and now we have the return of alternate borders. Now this is what I do know, and I remember asking specifically, the only way to guarantee that you are going to get alternate border is to be at Nationals or have someone at Nationals purchase this for you. It is possible that they would be made available down the road, but there are no plans concrete to do that or to make them available after Nationals. So the only way to guarantee if you want the alternate border version is to be at Nationals or have someone that is attending the event purchase them on your behalf. So that's going to incentivize people that are going to Nationals to be able to get access to these, but also potentially creates a kind of a fun dynamic to where they can turn around and offer these and trade value to people that weren't able to make it to Nationals and kind of create a little bit of back and forth trading potential, which is always good for any card game to have. But they were shared tonight in the Discord. Finally, we were told by Chris at Kentucky State, Brian and I were that, just as part of the exchange of information about Nationals, that this was going to be announced middle of the week this week. And this is in place of a new set. So you will get alternate border, Times to Come, available at Nationals with Roots 2 as the filler in it. So we do have that to look forward to. And it kind of works because after Nationals, we'll be able to take and digest Roots 2, be excited about all the things that we can do with that, that variety splash into decks I just mentioned. We'll have that. And as soon as we start to get familiar with those cards, then potentially later in the year, we have the new set come out. And then we have even more new cards to work through and, figure out how they're going to define and shape the meta. So it's kind of a keep you on your toes through that kind of dead period off-season thing. But these look fantastic, these alternate borders. And it's crazy how much a border impacts a card, but these look fantastic.
Mm-hmm. They do.
I think my favorite one, just because it's in a current deck that I play, in War and Mayhem, I do have the Restored Land. And the Restored Land, David's a prophet. He enters battle. I also used to have Joshua as another option, but this one, and this one's kind of cool because it doesn't have the art box. It's actually, I guess, full art. It's not borderless, but it's got, instead of an alternate border with the art box, it's just got bigger art, and it looks fantastic. There's a few of them that look really good through here. You got any that just catch your eye?
I don't have anyone to pick specifically. They all look really good. Like, but just been scrolling through these and just like, ooh, very nice. They're all looking really good. And this is something I'd love to have some of these for sure.
I think like the Gabriel, that's art that I don't think a lot of people were super excited about. Not trying to knock anyone that made the art decision on it, but it's caught a few jokes, but they've got Gabriel from GOC. Blue Gabriel in the background as the border, which is really cool on that one. Another one that has a really cool border. Let me find it here. I really like Behold the Lord with the lightning up top and things. It kind of matches that artwork. I think that one really pops.
Agreed.
But there's one on here that I'm just going to have to find it because I don't remember the exact name and I don't want to misquote it. But it's got the artwork from Three Woes as the background, as the border.
I do like the other art on Prince of Persia. The ultra rares getting the alternate art. It's pretty sweet.
Yep. That is the only negative thing about that is using the creation art on the Daniel card, which means that in the future we can't use it on a project for Genesis. But I guess that's okay. It looks pretty cool. I can't find this one now. It's driving me crazy, and I can just imagine kind of the emotional roller coaster day that E-Man had looking at these. Oh, we're getting cool Daniel stuff. We're not. Yeah, not. So when 1201 happens and these aren't taken down, maybe that'll give him some solace there. But I had skipped past it. It's Last Days. So Last Days, which is number 43 in the set. Last Days, and the border background is the Three Woes art, which is kind of cool. Last Days, Three Woes, Revelation art. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. See it, yeah.
But yeah, the alternate art for the ultra rares is really cool. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I know that a lot of these kept the AI generated art if that was used in the set, but I think with all three of these, it almost feels intentional maybe. I could be wrong. I don't want to say that I'm wrong, but I believe the Prince of Persia and Michael the Guardian are both from Kahaba.
No, they are definitely, yes.
Yeah.
I know for sure.
Kahaba. And then you have the classic painting for Ancient of Days. So I think it was almost an intentional thing because the AI art and the way people feel about AI art potentially being on the ultra rares for the set, the base set, to when they pick new art for this, I can almost assume in my head, I could be wrong, but I will stick my head up or stick my neck out on a limb, whatever you want to redneck phrase you want to do for taking a stab at it, but I would assume that it was intentional to use not AI art for those alternate versions so that people would have the choice between the AI art and something that's
sense.
not AI.
Yeah, I like it.
And of course, they couldn't do it with all these cards, but
Mhm.
with those three, I think it worked well. I think those are going to be some cool versions to be able to play. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Nationals. This is just something else that's going to be there. It's going to make it exciting. And it is a bummer that we're not going to have a new set, like a brand new set, booster set available at Nationals. But if you're not getting that, at least this is a cool fill-in because it is going to give you those Roots 2 cards people are going to want to get their hands on quickly. And it's giving you cool border things. And if you buy them at Nationals and other people aren't at Nationals, you have the potential to trade, sell, barter, what have you with those. You will have a resource that is limited in the community that then you can use to maybe get some cards that you need for your collection or whatnot. So, and maybe you're like Justin Alstead and you'll have at some point the last sealed box of Times to Come alternate borders down the road years from now. But I mean, it's possible, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I guess anything's possible. I'm sure, Jake, that we missed something, that I missed something putting this outline together, but that's I feel like that's been a solid amount of stuff to go over. And without the interview from Tim, I don't think we needed it for this episode because of how much this was a very busy news cycle for Redemption this week, I guess. And just I want to reiterate that, the playgroup development thing, I know we got into a pretty good conversation about that early on. That is something that I want to do. So if someone has ideas that have worked and things, I don't think I'm actively in the process of gathering information for that episode, but if someone wants to help me go ahead and jumpstart that and you have ideas, things that have worked, things that you've tried that have not worked that you want to share, and you just want to, shoot me a DM with those so that we can start compiling some data for that episode. Because I really do think that one of the ways that we can really help the game grow now is to figure out how we can create more face-to-face interaction in tournaments and get more people attending those and use that as the springboard for playing the game. I know it's great to play online and things, but at the real heart of card games and things is the face-to-face interaction and things. And I think that would really benefit the game. I think if you are cool with what we've done here tonight, I'm okay with wrapping it up, putting a bow on it.
I'm ecstatic. I think we got a really good episode in the can here, and I'm looking forward to people's thoughts on it and people's thoughts on these new Roots cards.
Yeah, people's thoughts on the fact that we know nothing about Type 2, but we spotlighted the Type 2 deck. Yes.
According to us.
Yeah. So is there anything you want to leave with the people before we sign off?
Happy Holy Week, happy Easter, happy Resurrection Day.
Yes.
I pray that you have just an amazing week and get to have your mind set on our redemption bought at the cross and just enjoy God's goodness to us, and that we have the ability to enjoy time with each other and play games like this and enjoy family, enjoy the lives that God's given us.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's a great way to send it off. I won't add or take anything away from it. I'll just leave you with that. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace. God bless.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Threshing Floor Podcast. Help us grow our community by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. While you're at it, be sure to subscribe or follow so you don't miss the next episode. And we'll talk to you next time on the Threshing Floor Podcast.